back to London. And 50 acres tied to a sack. All the press had to say is we wish you success. It's good to have the both of you back, Christ. You know what it is.
You want a picture after in front of the door?
You know how it can be.
Yeah, take a picture, family picture.
Where things are going.
We'll do it in front of the bed. Yeah, so what we did, they did some little touches, you know, like the chorus of the songs engraved into the walls. And the phone, if you pick it up, John Lennon will talk to you. And we have a 4-track recorder. There's virtual glasses there so you can see the suite in a different way. Oh, cool. But, you know, people rent the room, the suite, and they lay in bed, and they can watch the TV here. So they do, yeah, black and white footage of stuff that was going on during the time, during the bend. Cool. With the reporters and stuff. And then arriving in Dorval at the airport. So that was one of the songs I'd been doing for many years. Make it standing on a dock at Southampton, trying to get the Hall into France. Man in the Mac said, you gotta go back, you know, you didn't even give us a chance. Christ, you know it ain't easy, and know how it can be. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. And talking in our beds for a week. The newspaper said, say what you doing in bed. I say we're only trying to get us some peace. Christ, you know it ain't easy. You know how it can be. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. Saving up the money for a rainy day, giving all your clothes to charity. Last night my wife said, hold on to your head, you don't give nothing but your soul. Think to look like a trip to Vienna, eating chocolate cake in a bag. The newspaper said she's gone through his head. They look too like the boors and drag Christ. You know what it is, you know how hard it can be. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. Finally took the plane back to London. The 50 acres tied to a sack. All the press had to say is we wish you success. It's good to have the both of you back, Christ. You know what it is. You know how it can be. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. Thank you. My father was a fiddler, so I had no choice but to learn. Yeah, see.
Do you actually give tours here, or is this kind of an unofficial thing?
It's an unofficial thing. There's just I was on TV in France with a film crew, and then people wrote letters in. So now I kind of got the reputation. So all my colleagues send, for most of the part, when I'm there, they send people over to me because I was able to do the song. So it kind of became my little thing on the side. You know, it's nice. You meet people from all over the world, and you get to make people happy. And you get Beatles fans. I got a lot of stories about things that went on in the suite. You know, yeah. One lady once she cried for the first 15 minutes while she was in the room. So her husband was filming everything, just like you're doing. And I did the song for her. She was still crying. And so there's all kind of, Dennis Quaid, the actor, he rented the suite out for one night. He sat up on the head of the bed there, and we jammed, me, him, and his buddy together. We played together. So there's all kinds of good experiences that come with the suite. You know?
What does this room mean to you as an employee of the Fairmont?
This means a lot. This is like that's like one more thing that makes the job a lot of fun. But you know, the history of it. You know, at first when I first started here in '81, it wasn't a big thing because it was only 12 years old, the event. But eventually, with time, it became. with the anniversaries, 30, 35, 40, 45 years, it became something that was really big. So, and it's a great publicity for the hotel, and it's a part of Canadian history. So that's why that's why I like about it. It's the historical aspect. I'm kind of a history buff.
So people like Beatles fans from all over the world come here.
Oh yeah, I met people from every continent that I showed them the suite. From Australia to Asia to Europe, South America, I met people from everywhere.
Amazing.
Yeah, in the 6 years since the suite's been this way, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Here, I'll show you the other side. They did a nice job with the suite, I find, when they renovated it. You have the first bathroom, but the second one you're going to like even more. This is beautiful. Living room. At the time, this room was a connecting door coming to here, with room 1740, this was, and that's where they slept. The media event was 42. 40 is where they slept. This was 38 over here, and that was where her kids slept. So we did things with the file cabinets. Yoko Ono was consulted by the hotel for give ideas, and so she has something to do with this thing. So this is like the security reports. This is the 45, the record of Give Peace a Chance.
Oh, how cool is this?
The menu from room service at the time, what they were ordering from.
Oh my goodness.
So we have a few, we have, here, I'll just give you the story of the song. People can listen to, sit down, have a drink, listen to French or in English.
The bed-in was originally supposed to take place in New York, but Lennon was barred from entering the United States because he'd been charged for marijuana possession. So it ended up happening in Montreal. The bed-in lasted 8 days. Without a doubt, the spontaneous recording of Give Peace a Chance was the most important and most publicized event of the bed-in. The song was recorded by André Perry, an important figure in the Quebecois music industry, and founder of the famous Morin Heights Music Studio. Perry has also worked with legends like Sting, David Bowie, and Cat Stevens. When John Lennon gave André Perry the go on recording what was to become Give Peace a Chance, Perry had to act quickly and was forced to improvise with a simple setup. He asked the peace activists and journalists who were in Suite 1742 to grab tambourines and whatever else they could use in the room to add percussion. He also asked them to sing in unison on the chorus. Among the lucky people in the room were Timothy Leary, Tommy Smothers, Dick Gregory, and Petula Clark. The intimate crowd was invited to offer up ideas on how to fill out the lyrics on the ideologies, movements, and powerful people of the day. John would start by singing Everybody's Talking About, and then the crowd would respond with the rhyming words before chanting the famous, All We're Saying is Give Peace a Chance. With his rudimentary setup of just a few microphones, André Perry was not satisfied with the few takes he recorded. The acoustics were bad. People were banging out of tempo on walls and ashtrays, and some of the voices were off-key. The following night, alone in the studio, Perry saved the recording by stripping it down to Lennon's voice and the guitar. For the record, Perry used an old rubber trash can to create the rhythmic foundation of the song. The next morning, Perry called some friends for last-minute help, hoping they could recreate the bed-in choir. This is why you can hear Quebecois voices, including that of Robert Charlebois, on the final recording. Not only did Lennon approve of Perry's version, he also put his name and studio address on the liner notes. He had no idea that it would become Lennon's first solo single. When hundreds of thousands marched on Washington in November of 1969 to protest the Vietnam War, they sang Give Peace a Chance. The song had become a peace anthem for rallies around the world.
And now, how old are you?
15.
You're 15. This is a 17-year-old kid that the first day on the job, doing my job, is when John Lennon checked in. This is the first day. So this is what happened to him. That's a classic story.
John Lennon had many sides to his personality. But one aspect he was quiet about was his inclination to encourage talented young people he met along the way. The story of how 17-year-old Tony Lashta went from bellboy at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel to Lennon's assistant in London is one of those.
When John came into the hotel, I brought his luggage up with the 2 bell captains, 52 pieces of luggage, huge trunks, okay?
It was his first day on the job. He knew he could hustle more tips if he returned to the room once they had settled in. The hotel security had room 1742 under lock and key, but down the hall in the Beatles press agent's room, the party had already started. Tony could hear laughter, loud music, and the clinking of glasses through the door.
I got to a room that was really noisy.
Tony had to knock hard. Suddenly there was silence. He knew they were in there, so he tried the door handle.
What happened was I caught them all smoking dope.
The cheeky bellboy had some advice for the noisy guests.
If I were you, Derek, I wouldn't leave that sitting there. You're lucky it's me and not one of these old guys.
Tony seized the opportunity to move up in the world. He suggested to Derek Taylor that he could help by coordinating the room while the chaotic bed-in was happening.
The hotel thought it was a super, super idea, and it was my idea. So that's how I ended up hanging around the room all the time. So my first assignment was, Lennon wanted some new pajamas. Derek Taylor gave me $500, and he said, go get John a pair of white pajamas. So I left the room, just clicking my heels, walking down the hallway, walking outside downtown Montreal, beautiful sunny day, and here's me with $500 of John Lennon's money in my pocket, and I'm going to get him a pair of pajamas.
The peak of craziness happened on the night of June 1st. One of the celebrity guests, LSD guru Timothy Leary, was given the tambourine, but he couldn't keep a beat. So Tony grabbed it, and the rest is history.
So I played the tambourine and said, give me the check.
The next day, he gets a job offer that changes his life.
John looks at me, I've got an assistant back in London that is a complete asshole. And I'd like to take you back to England with me. He looks at Derek Taylor, he says, get him a room. Now I'm checking into the hotel. Lennon gives me a white suit, and he says, here, try this on. So he comes out of his room, he says, how does it fit? I said, well, you know, it's nice here. I said, it's a little tight. And John says to me, he says, Tony, he says, always remember one thing. He says, you wear clothes to look good, not to work in. I lived by that forever and ever and ever, and it was just one hell of an experience.
And we invited him to come for the 50th anniversary 4 years ago, and his family told us he had just passed away a couple of months before June, so he almost made it to the 50-year anniversary. And every morning, also, what was going on in the suite was a morning show from Seafox, which was in the West Island in Montreal. So this is a little story from the DJ.
I wound up doing my show from John's bedside. My show was between 5 and 9, and I was set up right there beside his bed, and he just laid in bed, ate brown rice, drank water, and I did my show. He did record intros. There was Petula Clark, Timothy Leary with his entourage of girls all over the place. Tommy Smothers was also there. They had come in to visit John and to, wish him well, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then one day, John decided that he wanted to do this song. He wrote the song, Give Peace a Chance, and they put it on big cards. And then the equipment started rolling in. Cameras were there. Every network was there. Then the song was recorded, and if you listen closely... Toby, Rodney, Taylor, big number, 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1-1-1. Recorded live in Montreal with a Plastic Auto Band featuring me and John Lennon.
Yeah, I would have shown you some more, but the image is out. But I'll just make you listen to 3 little segments of John Lennon talking about peace.
Cool. We're here as a protest against violence. We've got some acorns with us that we hope to give to all the heads of state we can get to see everywhere.
What do the acorns signify?
They're symbolic of seed, which is symbolic of life, and we'd like the presidents of different places to plant the seeds as a positive move towards peace instead of just shaking hands on photographs and talking about talks they're going to have about peace. I think they might think I'm going to hot up the revolution. I want to cool it down.
You're against revolutionary violence too. I like your song.
I'm against violence, period.
Whether it's
violence begets violence, as far as I'm concerned. It's been proved by what's going on in the States and the protest marches in Grosvenor Square in London. The only result of that was a lot of smashed heads and front-page headlines about violence. And it wasn't the press's fault, nor the cops' fault, nor the minority left-wing students' fault, or whatever they're called, It was just because the whole form they take doesn't work, It doesn't work because that's what happens when you do that. And we're saying this is one other way of doing it. This money, I'm using my money and my time to promote peace. And when the money runs out, the time runs out, we should have peace by then. When it gets down to having to use violence, then you're playing the system's game. The establishment irritate you. pull your beard and flick your face to make you fight. Because once they've got you violent, then they know how to handle you. The only thing they don't know how to handle is non-violence and humour. But the thing they sure as hell know how to handle you if you're violent, because they'll irritate you and knock you and do this to you and keep doing that until they make you fight, and then they know how to fight you. But if you fall for that, then you're lost.
That's neat.
Gandhi kind of theory. But yeah, so that's this is the story behind the suite. But one more story I can tell you is I started in '81, and about a month and a half after I started, which was October 21st, was my first day. On December 8th, remember that date? That's the date he was shot. And this is a year after he was shot in 1980, right? So this is a year after. On December 8th, I was working overnight shift. Passed by the door, I saw a dozen roses at the door. So somebody was putting roses there it lasted for some years after. Every year on December 8th, someone would put a dozen roses in front of the door right here. Yeah.
So they don't do it anymore, however?
No, it stopped all at once, yeah. It's a nice story. Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, you saw the bathroom with the TV in the mirror? That's a cool bathroom. It's a cool idea to have a TV right in the mirror.
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow, it's very neat.
Yeah. They did a nice job, I find, with the suite. Yeah.
Like, this is wonderful. Thank you very much for the tour. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice job they did. This is the stuff that was written on the flip charts at the time. So they made frames out of it, yeah. People, they had bringing in flowers. Remember, it's the age of beatniks and hippies. My father used to call them hippies. But, it was like flower power and against the war. And so they brought a lot of flowers in. The view is a lot changed since then. A lot more buildings now. And if you could see on the pictures on the wall here, we already had those since a long time. They're also in the book. When they mentioned, Petula Clark actually came 4 years ago for the 50th.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's in her 80s now.
Wow.
And you see Tommy Smothers Brothers? He's right. Yeah. Yeah, I talked to somebody recently who are neighbors with him in, I think it's Washington State. I'm not sure, Washington or Oregon. But yeah, this is my next door neighbor is, so he took a picture. He said, I'm going to show it to him that was you 50 years ago. Yeah, it seems like it just passed so fast, It's like 54 years already. Lennon would be, he was born in 1940, so he would be like 83 years old this year. Imagine that. He was 29 at that time.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. If you want a picture of a family picture, I'll take a picture in front of the door with the names. There was inaugurated in 2004. So officially since 2004, we have the names on the door. She gave us the permission, yeah. No, that was put 4 years ago for the 50th. Yeah.
Way things are going, they're gonna crucify me. The way things are going, they're gonna crucify me.